Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 236. Volkswagen's EV strategy is in crisis, and the legacy automakers are in serious trouble in China. And the charging of our EVs are getting ridiculously fast. And while legacy automakers are struggling in China, Tesla is heading for a new Q3 record. And the Cybertruck is showing off its capabilities and affordabilities in the US. And Starlink is now crushing the national broadband network in Australia. And XAI releases Grok 2 this week, and it's good. And Jim Farley is saying Ford's EV program has learned from Volkswagen. Oh dear. All of this and much more in today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
Volkswagen's EV strategy is in crisis. The Trinity platform is delayed until 2032. Volkswagen's ambitious Trinity platform, aimed at competing with Tesla, has been delayed to 2032. Pushing the launch out of this decade. This platform was intended to revolutionize Volkswagen's electric vehicle production with advanced manufacturing techniques like gigacasting and other techniques copied from Tesla. Originally planned to be launched in 2026, then 2028, and now 2032. The delay reflects Volkswagen's struggle with integrating new production method and software issues, significantly impacting their competitive edge. Volkswagen's delay is partly due to the software problems and cost-cutting measures. The company aims to extend the life of existing platform to mitigate cost, but this strategy might backfire in the fast-evolving EV market because we have to remember this is Volkswagen's platform that was supposed to give them a software-defined vehicle. So they're not going to have a software-defined vehicle this decade. This will hurt them very badly. The delay could see Volkswagen losing ground in key markets like China, where local competitors are already outpacing them in EV technology. This could lead to a significant loss in market share and profits, as 50% of their profit comes from China. Volkswagen is now partnering with Rivian and XPeng for software development, indicating a shift toward external collaboration to catch up in technology. But that also shows us that they are only starting now to get started on making this new software platform with Rivian that will be part of the Trinity platform, also called SSP. So with competitors like Tesla advancing rapidly towards full self-driving capabilities, Volkswagen's plan to introduce a software-defined vehicle with only level 4 autonomy by 2032 might render their efforts obsolete before they even begin. Volkswagen's slow pace of innovation could mean that by the time the Trinity platform launches, it might not be competitive in the EV landscape dominated by companies with more agile development cycles like Tesla. This situation underscores the critical importance of the pace of innovation, as Elon always mentioned. Something Volkswagen is not capable of. Speed. I have been saying this for years that legacy automakers are in serious trouble in China. But we are now seeing more and more articles saying the same thing, as this is getting more and more clear for everyone to see. As we could see in this article, e-car boom in China makes German manufacturers sweat. Among others, BYD is making it difficult for international car manufacture in China. This is particularly painful for German automakers. Sales of electric cars and hybrids are soaring while demand for combustion engine is rapidly declining. This shift mainly benefits Chinese manufacturers and Tesla, of course, where Volkswagen, Mercedes and others are seriously concerned. The combustion engine is losing significance in China at a rapid pace. In 2020, 95% of all new cars were powered by conventional fuel like gasoline or diesel. In the first half of this year, the numbers dropped to just 59%. These figures come from the registration data of automotive data specialist Mark Lines, as reported by Handelsblatt. So, in only 4 years, ICE cars have dropped 35 percentage points. If that trend continue, and I expect it will, and probably only speed up as people are seeing what is going on, in another 4 years, the biggest car market on the planet will have about 80% of their new sales being electric. In 2028. Let that one sink in. The German automakers are facing tough times. In the first 6 months of this year, sales of combustion engines plummeted by 12%, or 775,000 units. Meanwhile, sales of electric vehicles rose by 38%, or 1.1 million units. This dramatic disruption is leading to serious decline in sales, revenue and profits, especially the Western manufacturers such as Volkswagen, Mercedes, GM and Honda. We are clearly seeing a displacement of conventional drives, explained Jan Berger, head of automotive consultancy Burrill's Biaxial Partners. With the parallel sharp increase in proportion of electric cars in China, the dominance of domestic suppliers is growing. The most important reason seems to be technological superiority of the Far Eastern suppliers like BYD, Geely and Li Auto in electric drive and digital cockpit compared to the Western competitors. Except Tesla, that is. It is still the best-selling EV in the country, but even the old favorites like Porsche brand are losing when it comes to EVs. In the first half of 2024, they have lost more than 50% of their EV sales, so they are not only losing their ICE sales, but can't keep up in EV sales either. As Chinese suppliers have increased their combined market share from 33% to 52% since 2020. German companies, on the other hand, have lost a total of almost 6 percentage points, and the Japanese companies has lost as much as 9. All in just 4 years. If there is anyone left that cannot see what is happening in China, the biggest car market on the planet, they are simply just not looking. This will be devastating for the legacy automakers over the next 4 years. Just as we are seeing happening already for GM, as we saw this week that General Motors has initiated job cuts in China, signaling a significant restructuring of its operation. This move comes as a part of a broader strategy to address declining sales and profitability in what was once GM's largest market outside the US. GM was the first foreign automaker to enter the Chinese market, achieving a peak sales of over 4 million units in 2017. However, sales has since plummeted by nearly half to 2.1 million units last year and are still falling. Yes, the trouble the legacy automakers are in China is as real as it gets. And Marcus Brownlee just reviewed Toyota's Lexus EV, and the short version is, buy any other EV than this. If you want to learn more about the trouble Toyota are in, check out my video from this week on this topic. But Tesla, on the other hand, is only about 5,000 units away from catching up with last year's numbers in China. They are on the way to make their best Q3 in China ever. And the future, where there is no more cons for an ICE car, is getting closer and closer. Charging and batteries continues to become better, as Zeekr showed off in a new video this week. Zeekr, which is controlled by Geely, showcased their new in-house designed ultra-fast charging LFP battery installed on its new 007 sedan. It can do a 10 to 80% in just 10 minutes, adds 300 plus miles of range in 15 minutes. Now that is crazy fast. As we could see in this video, it adds about 275 kilometers in just 5 minutes. This is still the Chinese measurement of range, but still very long range in a very short time. That is about 170 miles of range in just 5 minutes. So we are really getting pretty close to ARK Invest prediction that in 2027 we will see EVs that can charge 200 miles in just 4 minutes. So we are getting close on getting rid of the last con for an ICE car. It can fill up in just 5 minutes. Soon the ICE car will have no benefits left and EVs will become the obvious choice for everyone. But I do hear a lot of people saying that we don't have the charging network for it and the grid can't handle it. Sure, true. If you bought a car with the charging capability today, you would not really be able to charge at that speed other than a few stations in China. But you can't buy this car in Europe or the US today either. And people tend to forget that the grid is also being disrupted. The energy generation is being decentralized and the grid will get updated. It will not happen overnight, but neither will shifting out the entire fleet of 1.5 billion cars on the road. So we will have many decades before everyone is driving an EV. So we will see just as big of a change in our energy generation and distribution of that energy as our transportation. Just take Tesla. They have already installed over 600,000 power walls. That is maybe between 300,000 to 600,000 households that are mostly off the grid now or helping the grid in peak hours. And that is just Tesla. Here in Europe, more and more are getting solar and batteries to their house. There are already over 1 million households with solar and batteries, but that is not including Tesla, because those numbers are from before Tesla came to a few countries here in Europe with the Powerwall. And with Tesla's Powerwall, they are making small virtual power plant, and every house becomes their own little power plant, and we are seeing Tesla's Megapack business shooting straight up like a rocket, because they are such a good business case for the energy companies, as we have seen in Australia, first with the Hornsdale power plant that paid itself off in about a year, and then they added 50% capacity to it because it was such a good business case. And that is no longer the biggest battery in the world, not even in Australia, and they are building bigger and more batteries as we speak. This has just started, and we will get a lot of decentralization of energy plants with solar and wind and huge battery storage. So we will not only update the grid over the next 2 to 3 decades before the whole fleet is shifted to EVs, but we will also have built millions of small microgrids and virtual power plants and renewable power plants with battery storage, and taking many households and factories and even small community off the grid, as they will be self-sufficient with electricity from their own small power generations. I think people that is talking about how the grid can handle it and we will never be able to have chargers that can deliver so much power are only thinking into the future with 1.5 billion more EVs on the road in 30 years' time, but don't think that we will change anything else about the grid or the energy generation in the next 30 years. This will be far off the mark, if you ask me. Just like we have seen with AI that needs a lot of power, yes, today, but we have already seen NVIDIA show us that in just the last 8 years, they have actually reduced the energy consumption of their AI chip by 350 times. So people have to think about that as well when looking into the future. And also how these big supercomputers will also become small power plants themselves with solar and energy storage. I personally think that is what Tesla is working on with their first-of-the-kind data center they have been talking about before. So I don't think people's concern about the grid and energy generation is really taking the whole picture into calculation. I personally don't think we have to worry, as the whole system is being disrupted, not just part of it. We had CNBC making a video about the Chinese competition in China and compared them to Tesla. Overall, it was actually a very good piece from CNBC on EVs, surprisingly. But one thing people always forget when talking about Tesla versus the Chinese is that Tesla is actually profitable, where almost everyone else except BYD is not. But we have to remember that Tesla and BYD are very different in what they are selling. BYD's average selling price is more than half the price of Tesla's. And as AJ showed on X, BYD only made 33% more revenue in July with 18 models compared to Tesla's 2 models. So even though they are still talking about competition to Tesla, Tesla still sits on maybe something like 80 to 90% of the profits of the entire EV market, as basically everyone else beside BYD is losing money on selling EVs. Just a little thing to keep in mind when we are talking about the competition. As AJ also shared, this analysis demonstrates that Tesla Model Y absolutely dominates the Chinese BEV SUV segment, in which it generates 5 times more revenue than the next closest competitors and generate as much revenue as the next 10 competitors combined. Yes, people tend to forget just how good a business case Tesla's Model Y is. It is outselling everything else on the planet, but doing so with a profit. And the same is true in the US, where AJ also shared a nice chart where we can see the Ford Mach-E is eating into Tesla's Model Y sales. Oh, no, sorry about that. That was an old headline from 2021. And here, 3 years later, of the Mach-E eating into Tesla's lunch, well, the Model Y is still selling more units than every other electric SUV on the market combined. Oh no, what is Tesla to do with all that competition that has arrived? And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. We saw this post on X, Cybertruck doing the work. It replaced my Ram as the around-town tow vehicle for the construction trailer. What? I thought it couldn't do real work. Jim Farley said so. But I guess Dan here didn't get the memo, as he wrote, even with reduced range, most of my trips are 15 to 20 miles each way a few times a day. Saved me almost $65 a day in fuel. A day! Only in fuel. If he does this like 200 days a year, he will save something like $13,000 a year in fuel. Suddenly, the big, expensive, gas-guzzling trucks and SUV doesn't seem so compelling anymore, does it? Basically, the only kind of vehicle Ford and GM are making. Well, good luck. And more good news about the Cybertruck. For the second month straight, the Cybertruck leads the US sales for vehicles over $100,000 according to Cox Automotive. Its unique design, top-tier features and powerful tri-motor Cyberbeast model attracts buyers seeking luxury and innovation. Tesla's production surge has surpassed rivals like the F-150 Lightning and also the Rivian R1T, underscoring high demand. Yep, some people think that Tesla taking down the Cybertruck for $80,000 is a bad sign. I see that as a good sign. Tesla will try to get as much out of the Foundation series as possible, so you might be able to get ahead in the line if you are willing to pay the extra $20,000. But if you can save $30,000 a year, it might be worth it. But people forget that Tesla, for now, is only selling the Foundation series. This does not mean the cheaper option is cancelled. I think that just means that Tesla still has so much demand that they can continue selling the Cyberbeast and the all-wheel version of the Foundation series a bit longer, as long as there are people willing to pay that extra for the product. It's just good business. And Bloomberg shared a chart of the $10 billion Tesla has been paid by its competition through the last decade. And as Brian White from Future Asas correctly pointed out, legacy automakers love to buy factories for Tesla. You think at some point they prefer to build their own factories, but this is what happens when you only care about next quarter profits. Exactly. The old guys have basically been paying for Tesla's factory so far, but I think most of them would have loved to have Tesla's Shanghai factory for themselves, or the Berlin factory for Volkswagen in Germany, instead of cancelling their own factory in Germany for the Trinity platform. But maybe the old guys will wake up soon. But I don't think so. And Tesla's diner and drive-in theater and charging station is coming along nicely, as we can see on these recent pictures from the site. Nice. And Ford CEO Jim Farley has acknowledged learning from Volkswagen, particularly in terms of electric vehicle technology and manufacturing processes. Oh dear. We all know how Volkswagen is behind when it comes to competitive EVs. Volkswagen themselves have even admitted that they are no longer competitive on price and taking about 3 times as long to manufacture an EV compared to Tesla. So if that is what Ford is learning from, I think they are on the wrong path here. But in all seriousness though, the use of the MEB platform for Ford is part of a broader strategy to reduce development cost and time to market for electric vehicles, leveraging Volkswagen established electric vehicle architecture, especially getting EVs to market here in Europe. But even that adventure has been hit with delays, just as we talked about in the beginning about how Volkswagen's Trinity platform has been delayed to 2032. So I hope Ford is trying to learn more from Tesla than from Volkswagen. And Tesla has launched the Cybertruck cooler with stainless steel for the nice price of $700 that fits in the Cybertruck's frunk. And if you fill it up with cyber beers, you can have yourself the most expensive beer party possible. And Starlink is now crushing the national broadband network in Australia, which includes satellite service that is paid by the Australian federal government, as they could report on Sky News.
Well, Elon Musk is turning the NBN satellite business into a white elephant. Musk's satellite service, Starlink, is providing better internet service to those in the bush. As many of you watching will know, Starlink's speed is much faster and it's more reliable than the NBN satellite business. Starlink now has 200,000 customers, according to figures quoted by the ACCC. And in NBN's latest report, it showed that their satellite customers had crashed by 23%, and they were down to just 86,000 customers. It seems they were so embarrassed by being beaten by the tech billionaire that they've decided to kill off any notion of transparency. The NBN has stopped its decade-long practice of publishing weekly data on their customers.
And XAI had some great news this week as they wrote, "We are excited to release an early preview of Grok 2, a significantly step forward from our previous model, Grok 1.5, featuring frontier capabilities in chat, coding and reasoning. At the same time, we are introducing Grok 2 Mini, a smaller but capable sibling to Grok 2, and early version of Grok 2 has been tested on the LMSYS leaderboard under the name SOS Column R. At the time of this blog post, it is outperforming both Claude 3.5 Sonnet and the GPT-4 Turbo. The most amazing thing is that this company was founded in March 2023, and now they have one of the most powerful AI large language models on the market for half the price of ChatGPT. And as Elon also wrote on X, rate of innovation is the fundamental matrix for determining the probable success of a technology company. Yep, and that should tell us that XAI is going to be a very successful AI company. I did test out Grok 2 Mini and it is very good and much faster at creating pictures than what I have access to through ChatGPT. And if you're wondering why Brandenburg's minister is always so positive about Tesla in Berlin, well, Alex shared why on X. They are the largest training company in Brandenburg with 11,500 people, most nations in one factory, 120. That's just nuts. And the lowest water consumption per vehicle in the industry. And most charging stations, 500. Wonder what the activist has to say about that. And not surprisingly, Tesla's supercharger network ranks first in the 2024 EV charging survey. And Volkswagen's Dieselgate network, Electrify America, is down at the bottom. I made a whole video about the cost of a used EV, making it possible to get a 2019 Model 3 long range for as little as $16,000, like the one I'm driving, with a lot of miles on the odometer, of course. But if you want an even better deal, you might want to check out Mercedes EVs, as AJ shared on X. Mercedes EQS depreciate incredibly quickly. Apparently, these are hard to sell. This is what these numbers tell me. Example number 1. A 2023 Mercedes EQS with only 13,000 miles sells now 48% below MSRP at just $56,000. You can have plenty of 2022 models in the sub $50,000 range, with sometimes less than 10,000 miles in good condition. Now that is a good deal. The EQS is not a bad EV, but this is a very good price. And AJ also shared why Mercedes EVs are getting this big discount, because even Mercedes seems to have a hard time selling them. Because if we compare their EQB, that is a direct competitor to the Tesla Model Y, well, the Model Y outsold the Mercedes EQB by 135 to 1 in Q2 2024 in the United States, according to Kelley Blue Book's estimates. Talk about dominance. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my new supporters of this channel. My new YouTube members, Apple314, Arian Bergold, and Jim Whitehead. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this new show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. Remember to always stay calm, or you might end up doing the opposite of what you planned. That is all we have time for in this news episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for the support. But if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel, or become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out as some extra perks like early access, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos. So hit the members button or check out Patreon to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on X. I post pretty much all the news as it comes out and a lot more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. It is also possible to support the show without becoming a member or a patron. There is a donation option down below or on my website bestintesla.com. You can also become an executive producer and get news articles, exclusive videos, behind the scenes, and access to all my research, charts and spreadsheet, also on bestintesla.com, or as simple as hitting the super like button. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.